So today we're going to look at your Hamlet Act 1 question. And I'm going to go through the analysis guide, and the questions and sections are going to be at the top of the screen. So first one is setting, and it's question 1. So the scene begins with midnight, and there's a lot of fear, mystery, and death setting the tone. And you could tell by what Bernardo says, where he says to Horatio how he looks tremble and he looks pale. And Horatio talks about how he's really afraid of something happening that he's been seeing. And this is the period when the ghost of King Hamlet appears. The next section, and again, you can get these questions on the OCHI website. If you go to Miss Napalis Resource Lab 12th grade, you can find a copy of these notes to go back and look at. And feel free to pause this at any point if you want to copy down the answers. So in plot, flashback, the next section, it talks about how Horatio explains that Norway and Denmark have been at war, and that King Hamlet, Hamlet's dad, won a war against King Fortinbras, and now Prince Fortinbras is ready for revenge. And Prince Fortinbras is ready for a fast, quick, and swift revenge, which is very different to how Hamlet plots his own revenge against his uncle. Imagery. So there's a vision of happiness, joy, and light, and now there's a lot of uncertainty, fear, and sadness. And you can see that in Marcellius's description of the cock. Next, let's talk about Claudius under the characterization setting. How does Claudius' speech show the use of balance? So Claudius talks about honoring his brother, but also moving on after his brother's rule. He also talks about how there's a lot of sorrow, but they need to seek revenge. And then he also thanks his guests for coming to the funeral of his brother, but also the wedding of him and Queen Gertrude, who was married to King Hamlet. Next is Hamlet. So Hamlet is upset because of the death of his father. The unweeded garden, or the kingdom, is falling apart into moral disarray, and his mother marrying his uncle. And the second question, the puns he uses, he talks about a little more than kin and less than kind. And not so, my lord, I am too much like the sun. So kin and kind are similar sounding words, and he talks about how he is like the sun in the sky, but he's also son of King Hamlet. The next section is theme, or on mortality. And Gertrude and Claudius introduced the theme that death is mysterious and it's a part of life. And Hamlet's father died, his father died, and eventually Hamlet will die. So Hamlet just needs to move on. The next one we'll talk about is theme, appearance, and reality. So when Hamlet says, "Seems, madame, nay it is," well, he's actually talking about how actions are complicated. And what appears to be true is only a small piece of what Hamlet is feeling on the inside. The next we'll talk about Hamlet's dilemma. He's really upset that his mother married his uncle in such a short time. He can't tell anyone and must mourn in silence. And a theme there that we see is that, talking about the unweeded garden, is that human nature is inherently evil and continues to grow if society does not regulate our actions. And last, we'll talk about Ophelia. Ophelia talks about her brother being like a priest who might fail to practice what he preaches.